Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave, episode 93. So today I'm going to be looking at some games that were based on movies. I'm going to start off with two classic movies, and the games that are pretty much classic in their own way as well. I mean, it's something that's been going on now for a long time, as long as video games have been around. There's always going to be games that are going to be based on popular film. It's a logical step. You know, if the movie's great, why not make a game? Just like, you know, board games and books and all the other stuff that come out and toys to kind of, you know, sell the movie. And, you know, it goes all the way back through all the systems. I mean, Nintendo had a lot of them. I mean, Back to the Future, of course, Nightmare on Elm Street, RoboCop, and Ghostbusters. I mean, they're all kind of horrible. You know, I played them all. Ghostbusters, I played mostly on the Commodore 64, but, you know, I played RoboCop a lot. I'm a big fan of RoboCop. Nightmare on Elm Street, I played a bit. I played this a lot. I'm a big, huge Back to the Future fan, so, and, you know, to be honest, most of them are nothing like the movie. So, I'm going to go further back to, the Atari days, because I like the Atari, and I've been doing a lot of Atari videos lately. And there were no exception, and, you know, it all started off, pretty much the most infamous one would be the E.T. one. A lot of people know this, and I have to be honest, a lot of people slam this game. They probably never even played it. But Atari had a few games based on movies. You know, they had the Star Wars series, of course. You know, there's about 3 or 4 Star Wars games on the Atari. I did a video on a couple of Atari games for the Star Wars series. Then they had some lesser known ones, I think, like Alien. And I don't even know how much this is even based on the movie, if it's even based on the movie at all. It's got the same name, but it's really just a Pac-Man game. It's kind of interesting. So the ones I'm going to show off today are going to be E.T., of course, and Gremlins. This is one I just recently picked up. E.T., I've had it for a long time. I remember when I was a kid, my friend had it, because I didn't have an Atari. My friend had it. Funny enough, she had a ColecoVision, though. So she probably had the Coleco adapter, because I remember playing it at her house. And I was fascinated by it. I was kind of fascinated by it. So I was kind of confused when I learned a little bit later on that this had such a bad reputation. And Gremlins was one I didn't even know existed for a very, very, very long time. Actually, you know, found out about it, and I started looking it up online, and I was able to actually find one in a collection of games that I bought. So let's take these two for a test drive and see if they match up to the movies, or if, you know, how they play. Okay, Gremlins, 1984. So what do we got going on here? We got players and level. Let's see here. So you can pick your level. I'm probably just going to stick with level 1, because, you know, level 1's easier. And we got 2 players. That's one thing about the Atari, the select button isn't really the, you know, you kind of have to go through every single menu item just to get back to 1. Okay, let's play. That's Gizmo, I believe, there. I don't know what that guy, I can't remember his name. I saw this movie when I was a kid. I probably haven't seen it ever since. Whoa! This is very, very, like, familiar style gameplay for Atari games. In fact, it's very much Kaboom. Only you don't get to use a paddle controller in this game. I'm using an actual joystick. Ooh, and those are like, what's that below me? Hamburgers? I think they're trying to eat. Just gotta catch them before they hit the ground. Oh, you've hit the ground. Huh. Nice graphics in the background, though, I do have to say. Now this one's kind of like a, I don't know what you want to call this, like almost like a Space Invaders style here. Except you're just like hitting one at a time. Obviously it's going to get faster as I play. This is actually quite well done for, you know, a lot of background music, a lot of great background scenery. Whoa! Whoa. It's actually quite difficult, especially using this controller. I think everybody would agree you'd rather use the paddle controller on a game like this. Oh. That's hard. Doesn't seem to be a whole lot going on. I guess you're just like shooting them or something. Not bad though. Alright, now on to the infamous E.T. I don't understand why this game got slammed so much. I mean, I've read so much about it. There's so much controversy. There's so many opinions on it. It's actually a decent game. The problem is people don't read the manual. They don't know what they're doing. I actually read the manual a little while back, but I totally can't remember a lot of it now. Yeah, I have to go and refresh myself, but let's just see where I can go. Now, the problem with this game is that this is the issue. Keep going into these, like, holes. And then you get back onto this screen. And then you get that dot is a Reese's Pieces thingy. Now, the trick to this game is understanding what these symbols are. That's the real trick of this game. Each one does a different thing. Like that question mark zaps you to another screen. But you have to think that this is actually pretty advanced compared to, you know, some of the other games that were around at the time. I mean, people want to make fun of it, call it the worst game ever, and they want to say it brought down the video game industry, which is a lie. But, you know, for what it is, and for what Howard Scott Warshaw was actually able to do, in the amount of time given to make this game happen, and don't forget, this is like, you know, something that was happening for the Christmas season. So he had to get this game out and, you know, packaged up on the shelf before the Christmas holidays so every parent can buy their kid E.T. Now this guy that's chasing me, he's like a detective guy or something. Looks like Dick Tracy to me. So really what you're supposed to be doing is you're actually supposed to be falling into the pits. Probably the worst part of the game is the pit. But that's what you're supposed to do. You have to go into the pits and find your pieces of the telephone, put it together, call home, and your spaceship comes and picks you up. So there's actually a point to this game. There's actually an ending to this game. I mean, it's not like the game is broken. It's not like it doesn't work. But it is kind of frustrating, because you think you're out of the pit, and you fall back into the pit. And then you fall back into the pit. And what is this thing where his head extends and he floats out? I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking when he created that idea. So what that guy does is he pretty much steals your pieces. Which is kind of annoying. Okay, so, yeah. Gremlins was interesting. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've seen the movie, so I can't really judge it on how closely it resembled the movie, because I don't know, it seems like they kind of took some of the key elements of Gremlins and said, okay, let's just kind of incorporate it into a common style Atari game. So let's do like a, you know, like Kaboom with the falling things, and then Space Invaders where you're shooting things. So then they just kind of took the characteristics of Gremlins and kind of put it all together and made this mishmash of a game. But it's interesting that you get to play two different types of games in one. I mean, there is another cartridge like that, Pigs in Space, which is interesting too, which does also the same kind of concept, where they take like 3 classic style games and they kind of mesh it all together into one cartridge. But this one, it's kind of interesting. I have to admit though, playing with the joystick really kind of, they should have made it through the paddle controllers. I'm not sure why. I mean, this is 1986, so I don't know. They should have known better. But maybe, you know, whatever the programmer decided, maybe they thought nobody was using paddle controllers anymore. So yeah. And the second one, E.T. You know, what can I say about it? I kind of explained it a little bit in the gameplay. This is 1982, so there isn't a whole lot more I can say. I mean, this is a pretty decent game. I don't know why it gets slammed. I know a lot of people talk about it being the worst game ever. They say it's, you know, it ruined the video game industry, which is not true, because this is 82, and, you know, we still were making games in 86. all the way up to like 89, Atari games were still being made. So it didn't ruin anything. If anything, it just became more popular. On a side note, there is a film called Atari Game Over, and I've seen it on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on there. And it talks about the infamous landfill. Now, this has a backstory of being, you know, they made so many copies of it, and then when the crash happened, they didn't know what to do. They dumped it into a landfill. And for the longest time, it was like a rumor, and people didn't think it existed, and, you know, this whole thing. And so they made a whole video on it, where they go and they actually find the landfill, they dig it up, and they actually find Atari stuff found in the ground. Now, it's not just the ETs. It was like a lot of things that were buried in there. I mean, that's just probably the way that the corporation had to get rid of their stuff. I mean, they couldn't sell it, they couldn't do anything with it, so they just buried it. Whatever. I mean, it still had nothing to do with E.T. And the fact that Howard Scott Warshaw, the guy who created this one, pulled it off, like, made this game in like, the weeks that he was given. Not months like most of the programmers were given, but weeks. It's amazing. I mean, it's got a great history. It's attached to a great movie. I mean, there's nothing more I can say. I mean, you got to try it out. You got to read the manual. That's the trick. Read the manual, understand what the symbols are, and you'll be fine with this game. And the fact that you can actually complete it is pretty cool for its day and time. Anyways, yeah, so enough of my rambling on. Great games. I'll probably do some more movie games. I mean, this is an idea brought forward by one of my Facebook group members. And so, yeah, it's a great idea, and I'm probably going to do things like, you know, these Nintendo ones, and especially Back to the Future. I haven't taken a stab at this. Already did Nightmare on Elm Street and Ghostbusters, so. Anyways, yeah. Hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe to my channel. Leave some comments below. Talk to you later.